So today we're going to answer the question, where do you find legit remote high ticket sales roles as a closer, as an appointment setter? Where can you find these jobs? We're going to go through 5 different options. I'm going to talk a little bit about the pros and cons. I'm going to talk a little bit about who it might be for, all the good stuff. You're going to know where to find these things after this video. Starting off with the first one, which is probably the most popular, groups and communities. And when I say groups and communities, I mean the public ones. I'm not talking about probably the better ones I'll get into later, which is like private networks, but I'm talking about Facebook groups. I'm talking about school groups. Those kinds of communities will have a ton of remote sales roles. Well, a ton is a bit of a stretch. It depends on your definition of a ton, but it does have more than some of the other options I'm going to talk about later. They might be a little bit more accessible, especially for those of you that don't have a huge track record or tons of sales experience or connections in this space. Facebook groups, school groups, it's a good free option to find roles. The only issues with these platforms is there's a lot of noise, especially if we're talking about Facebook groups. You're going to have to get really, really good at differentiating what is a real post from what is not a real post. This is one of the reasons why I built Rep Select in the first place, because I would train tons of reps on how to pass interviews, how to perform on their role, how to land their first role. And I had to dedicate huge training videos on, vetting companies, vetting offers, and making sure that you're not getting caught up in bait and switches, fake posts, spam posts, those kinds of things. And so I built Rep Select to kind of just have our team do it for the person. But what you're going to have to get good at if you're using these posts is identifying, and once you know what to look for, it does become a little bit easier, but identifying what's a real post from what's not a real post. Are they showcasing a bunch of hypey stuff that's clearly targeted at beginners, or are they a legit company that's actually looking for talent? The thing about Facebook and the groups there, you might find 2, 3, 5 real posts, maybe 10 real posts on a weekly basis out of 50 to 100 posts total, with a bunch of them being fake, spam. So again, you've got to be good at vetting, but if you're just looking for a free option to connect with people and find posts quickly, that's a good source. Another con is, again, the noise, meaning that when you actually go to reach out to some of these business owners, some of these people, Facebook DMs are generally pretty spam, right? And Facebook comments can get pretty spam. It can get hard to get noticed and get in contact if you haven't built up a mutual friends network to some of the people you're trying to reach out to. Facebook, moderates messages a lot. They send a lot of stuff directly to requests, to spam. So again, when you're shooting people DMs, if you don't have a, high mutual friends, connection with that person, if you're not on their friends list, your messages might be a little bit more difficult to get through. That's why you see a lot of these posts ask people to comment rather than just DM them so they can actually find people. But again, that's if you can find the volume of posts you're actually looking to find, which if you're looking to apply to 10 plus posts a day or 5 plus posts a day, these are probably not going to be your best bet because the volume of posts is not very good. When it comes to the second option, which is job sites, so we're talking about ZipRecruiter, we're talking about Indeed, we're talking about LinkedIn. These job sites are a little bit better in a sense where they wouldn't have as much bait and switches. So if you're just looking for simply to, standard, submit your application, apply, wait, and go from there, you can do the extra work of reaching out to the business owners that you find on there directly to get a bump up in the kind of application and waiting process. So that is a pretty good thing there. If you're doing that extra work, if you're just applying and waiting, it can take a long time to land a good role. But if you're going to do the extra work of reaching out directly, you can massively speed up the process. The only thing with these job posts is they're just not focused. You're probably better off finding more posts in the groups than you would on these job sites. So again, you might be scrolling and find a handful of roles, less fake roles, less things that you really gotta, not get fooled by, but you're just not going to find that many on these job sites. You might find, again, like 5 on a platform for the day. You might find just a handful of roles, not a ton, because the platforms just aren't focused. you've got roles from every industry under the sun that, you're going to have to vet through and fish through and search through. And a lot of times these platforms are known for ghost posts. So a lot of companies, what they'll do is they'll leave job posts up year round, even though they're not hiring, just so they can find that one diamond in the rough to bring onto the team if it makes sense, right? So they'll leave posts up just to collect resumes. So you might actually end up wasting time applying to these roles. But again, if you're looking for a free option where you can just see who's hiring, if you're willing to do the work of reaching out directly, this can be a good option as well. More traditional option that most people just know is out there. But it can be not the best thing if you're just looking for sheer volume, if you're looking for the most efficiency for your time. The next one is probably one of the better ways for reps with a track record, with some experience, which is recruiters. So recruiters, there's sales recruiters that some of the biggest companies in the space work with, multiple of them at the same time, usually, trying to onboard high volume of reps. So I have one recruiter that I know posts on Rep Select. He told me that one of his clients is looking to bring on 100 reps a week. So massive sales organization, massive sales team. They're looking to bring on tons and tons of reps, which is, great for if you're looking to get in touch with a lot of great offers. Working with a recruiter is one of the best ways to get on there. The only thing with recruiters is you're competing with a sea of talent. Some of these recruiters, they've got 50,000, 100,000 reps on their list, and you've got to be the best for that offer in that list. Now, again, it's not as hard as it sounds. It sounds like there's a lot of people, but if you can present really well, if you can show up well, and if you have a track record, it's quite easy and quick to land a role through a recruiter. The downside would be, one, if you don't have that track record, if you don't have 500,000 to $1 million cash collected in remote high ticket sales, some recruiters just won't work with you at all for that reason, because their best interest is, placing the best talent possible on the teams of their clients. And some of their clients have strict rules of, we don't want anyone on the team that doesn't have a track record of, $1 million or a few million cash collected. So if you're brand new to the industry, or maybe you've done sales a ton, just not in this industry, it might be a little bit more difficult to land a role with some of these offers through recruiters. And you also just need to know who the specific recruiters are, who the best recruiters are, right? A lot of them, you just won't find them on Google, right? So if you don't know who all of the best remote sales recruiters are, you're going to have to do some time searching and gathering that list and then reaching out and building relationships with them. Again, fantastic option for those that have a track record, but if you don't, it might be harder to get them to give you a shot. Also, some recruiters are locked into certain areas, like, we only recruit from the US, or so on and so forth. Networking is another good option. If you have a good network, if you can build your network, some of the best offers never touch the recruiters, never touch the job boards because of referrals. Networking is something all of you should be doing as your long-term play. Long to mid-term play, you should always be building your network in this industry. But if you're expecting a 24, 48 hour turnaround, if you're expecting to land roles right away from networking, that's probably not going to happen. So again, although you should all be doing this, no matter what option you're using, building your network is not something where you're like, hey, I'm going to have tons and tons of offers to apply to right away. And that's where the last option, Rep Select, comes in. This is the platform that I built. It is a paid subscription, so that would be the only con there. But the pros is it's a focused network of vetted offers that me and my team go through. We make sure that they're hiring now and that they're a legit company. So again, you can save a ton of time. We have people go on there and apply to hundreds of roles right away if they want to, kind of spray and pray, or you can be a little bit more meticulous with your application process. But again, people landing interviews within days, landing offers within days, because of that focused, no noise, no fake posts, active jobs type of environment. And on top of that, if you do have a little bit more experience, instead of trying to find who all the recruiters are, we have a list of the 30 top recruiting companies in this industry all right there for you. That being said, those 5 options, utilize them, figure out which one's best for you, and you'll land a role pretty quickly if you pick the right one. Hopefully that helps. I'll see you guys in the next video.